Amen. Um, Jordan and I alternate teaching Bible and chapel, and then so I do what do? I do Tuesdays and Thursdays. He does Mondays and Wednesdays. So on Tuesday, I was talking to my Bible class, which would be our school kids in the morning, about the whole peace deal in Israel. And Axel goes, "Well, isn't the Antichrist going to make peace in the Middle East?" I said, "Yeah, he is actually." And then this other kid, he's always really quiet but so funny, Rowan. He kind of sits there and he just kind of ponders off. And I go, "Rowan, what are you thinking?" And he says, "I'm thinking that Trump is not the Antichrist, but maybe Obama." It was just funny. But I don't think it's Obama either. So, but Ecclesiastes chapter 9 is where we're at. It says in verse 1, "For I considered all this in my heart." Solomon's been looking around at the world. He's been taking these observations. He's been meditating on them, thinking about them in a state of backsliddenness in his walk with the Lord. He says, "I considered all of this in my heart so that I could declare it all, that the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of God. People know neither love nor hatred by anything they see before them." Verse 2, "All things come alike to all. One event happens to the righteous and the wicked, to the good, the clean, and the unclean, to him who sacrifices and to him who does not sacrifice. As is the good, so is the sinner, he who takes an oath and he who fears an oath." The same thing happens, Solomon says, one thing happens to all of these people. These things don't seem to be determining factors in someone's life if they're righteous or wicked, if they're good or evil, if they're clean or unclean, if they make sacrifices or they don't make sacrifices, if they're good or if they're a sinner, if they take an oath or they avoid oaths. The same thing happens to all of these groups of people. That thing he'll talk more about here in verses 3 and 4. He says, "This is an evil in all that is done under the sun. That one thing happens to all. Truly the heart of the sons of men are full of evil, and madness is in their hearts while they live, and after that they go to the dead." That one thing he's talking about is death. Death comes upon everyone. Doesn't matter if you took a bath that day, if you're clean or unclean. Doesn't matter if you're righteous or wicked. Doesn't matter if you make an oath or you don't make an oath. Death is coming for everyone, Solomon has observed. He says there, as he makes this list kind of in verse 2 about these people, and he realizes that the same events of life can happen to both of these categories, whichever category he's talking about: good, bad, wicked, clean, unclean. And it reminds us what Jesus actually taught in Matthew chapter 5, verse 45. He says, "That you may be sons of your Father in heaven, for he makes his sun shine on the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust." Everyone gets affected when the sun shines. Everyone gets affected when it rains. And the idea is, Solomon realizes, everyone gets affected by death. Verse 4, he says, "But for him who is joined to all the living, there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion." There's a proverb for you, a little saying. He who is joined to the living, he has hope, because a living dog is better than a dead lion. Now, back in that culture, and like today, we really esteem dogs. Dogs were much more, not quite highly esteemed as they are today. So, a dog was just kind of like a street creature. And, an animal may be seen as much more majestic. So you got maybe kind of like this more street creature, but it's better to have a living dog than to have a dead kind of majestic lion. His idea that there's still hope for the living. There's kind of hopelessness for those who have died, but the living still have hope. Verse 5, "For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten." The living know that one day they're going to die. They have an awareness. But the dead, he says, they have nothing, and they have no more reward. This is Solomon observing, thinking about, philosophizing about life without the Lord, that the dead have no more reward. There's no more life left in the dead. There's no more opportunity for the dead to change things. The dead have no reward. And that's kind of true as far as Solomon's look at things in a worldly sense. But we know that as believers in Jesus, that when we die, we actually will get rewards. In 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 7 and 8, Paul said this right there towards the end of his life. He says, I've fought the good fight, I've finished the race, I've kept the faith. Finally, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give to me on that day. And not to me only, but also to all who have loved his appearing. Paul knew that he was getting to the end of his life, the end of his race, that he had a reward waiting for him. Solomon, not understanding that idea, he thinks that when the dead die, there's no reward at all, but for us in Jesus, there are going to be rewards. Verse 6 says, also their love, their hatred, their envy, they have now perished. Never more will they have a share in anything done under the sun. Their love, it's gone. Their hatred, that's also gone. The envy that they had, that disappears when they die as well. It all perishes. Never more will they have to share in anything done under the sun. They aren't involved in life anymore, is this concept after they die. Verse 7, go eat your bread with joy and drink your wine with a merry heart, for God has already accepted your works, and let your garments always be white, and let your head lack no oil. The idea of having white garments and oil on your head, it's like what you would wear or put on in a season of like rejoicing and celebration and joy. So because this is true, because you only have this life and then you die and then there's nothing else Solomon's kind of talking about here in his worldly view, you might as well have joy now. You might as well buy some nice clothes. You might as well look the part because you only have one life. Verse 9, live joyful with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life. Or, vain is like empty. So he's like, live joyful with your wife whom you love all the days of your vain, empty little life. Is kind of how I see him saying that, which he has given you under the sun, all your days of vanity, for that is your portion in life and in the labor which you perform under the sun. Or that's kind of all you got. So you might as well enjoy life with your wife, because life is kind of emptiness anyway. It's vanity, so enjoy it with who God has brought you. Verse 10, whoever or whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might, for there is no work or device or knowledge or wisdom in the grave where you are going. While you're alive, whatever you're doing, you might as well do it 100% is the idea. Whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might, because when you do die, you don't get to work anymore. There's no knowledge, there's no wisdom, there's no work going on for those who get buried, for those who have died. So your chance to work is now. So Solomon goes, you might as well be working. You might as well put in the grind. You might as well give it all you got. Now, in the New Testament, we see the value of doing a good work, of working good in Colossians chapter 3, verse 17, when Paul says that whatever you do in word or in deed, we can do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. So, Solomon, on this kind of idea, but kind of similar, different points, is you only live once. Once you die, it's done, so you might as well give it 100% no matter what. Paul, same kind of application, but a whole different premise, is because we live forever. Because there's more than this life, because we belong to Jesus, we might as well work unto the Lord and bring him glory. Verse 11, he says, I returned and I saw under the sun that, and again, this phrase under the sun is used over and over again in Ecclesiastes, which is Solomon's perspective, life on this planet. I've perceived this, I've returned and I've observed these things. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. I've observed that life doesn't always work out how you think it's supposed to. You would think that the race is always won by the swift, or that the battle is always won by the strongest, or that bread is always given to the wise, or that the riches of men would have understanding. But he goes, that's not how it always works. Life doesn't always happen. It doesn't always work like you think it should. And he starts to realize, but there might be some chance to this thing. He says, but the time and the chance happen to them all. Or life's just kind of like a coin toss. You don't know. You could do all the right things, you get all the right education, you could be in all the right situations, and then life's still going to come and slap you upside the head, and it's not going to go like the way you planned it. There's a chance to life that's kind of outside of your control. And this is kind of true. Solomon's looking at it as more kind of like random chance that's happening to people. What we would see it as is God has a plan for our life. And some of it's in our control, but some of it's outside of our control. And sometimes God intervenes in ways that even if it looks like this is how everything's supposed to unfold and life doesn't go the way we want it to, it can be God's sovereign hand intervening, not just random chance taking place. Speaking of Bible class, when I was teaching Bible class on Tuesday and we were talking about Trump making peace in the Middle East, one of our kids named Isaiah, this is about chance, he had a Scrabble tile, and he just kept flipping it. It was the letter A, and he was like flipping it, and then he was just like heads or tails, and if it landed on A, it was heads, but if it was the backside, it was tails. And he's flipping it the whole time. And as I'm teaching through Acts, he flips it, he's sitting right there, and it lands up here on the stage, and instead of landing heads or tails, it landed straight up. And Isaiah's a great kid. He's so funny, actually, if you met him, he's so goofy. But he goes, Hagen, you have to look up on your phone what the probability is of that. And I kind of blew off, but then towards the end of class, I said, okay, so I Googled, what are the chances of a Scrabble tile landing straight up instead of on one side or the other? And Google literally says the odds are literally virtually zero. And he thought that was the coolest thing in the world, that this Scrabble tile at an odds of literally like zero would land straight up instead of on one face or the other. And it's like, Isaiah, you have a greater chance of getting struck by lightning right now inside this building than you have of that happening right in front of us right now. And he's like, whoa. It's like, yeah. So there is kind of a chance to life with different things, at least when you're flipping tiles. But God's in charge. Verse 12. For man also does not know his time. Like fish taken in a cruel net, like birds caught in a snare, so the sons of men are snared in an evil time when it falls suddenly upon them. He sees life as kind of, I think this philosophy is called like determinism, and the idea is there's just this chance or this determination in your life, and you're just more of a victim of life instead of being able to have some control over life. So just like a fish that gets caught up in a net or a bird that gets caught in a snare, that's just like man. Man's just a victim of his circumstances. The Son of Men are just snared up in the evil times that they find themselves living in, and it can just fall upon them suddenly without any control on our part. Verse 13, this wisdom I have also seen under the sun, and it seemed great to me. There was a little city with few men in it, and a great king came against it and besieged it and built great snares around it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he, by his wisdom, delivered the city. Yet no one remembered that same poor man. Here's a story. You got this little city, and this big king comes in and overtakes the city, yet this wise poor man has this wisdom to be able to overcome this king, this powerful king that's come in. The problem is this man, poor wise man, has this wisdom to outsmart this king. The city gets rescued, but then no one remembers that guy. He dies, going on with Solomon's theme, he dies, and no one even knows his name. No one even remembers. He did such a great thing that the city wouldn't even exist without him, and yet no one even knows him anymore. And this is kind of the idea of, legacy. And, people really want to leave a lasting legacy. And we kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago. But I don't even know the name of my great-great-grandparents. I do know my great-grandparents, but not my great-great. Like, I don't even know their names. It's like, that's not even that long ago. It's like, I can't even tell you who they are. And we just have a tendency of forgetting people. And that's kind of the point there. And the reason why we build monuments is because we know that we'll forget people. So, we build statues to them, or we mark their graves so that at least people know where to find a name. Verse 16, then I said, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. Words of the wise spoken quietly should be heard rather than the shout of a ruler of fools. Again, more of a proverb type saying that he says there, verses 16 and 17, but he says, wisdom is better than strength. If you could choose strength or wisdom, he says, choose wisdom. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. But a poor man, a weak guy who's got all this wisdom, he says it, he speaks it quietly, and no one hears it. No one takes him seriously, is the idea. Verse 17, but the words of the wise spoken quietly should be heard, and rather instead of the shout of the rule of fools. Often it's the loudest voices that are the most foolish voices. It's the quiet ones that we need to be listening to. Verse 18, wisdom is better than a weapon of war, but one sinner destroys much good. Wisdom is better than weapons. If you got enough wisdom, you can out-wisdom a weapon. So if you got wisdom or weapons, choose wisdom. But on the other hand, a sinner, he can destroy much good. One sinner can really ruin some stuff. And then to illustrate that, chapter 10, verse 1 goes right with what he said in verse 18. He said, dead flies putrefy the perfumer's ointment and causes it to give off a foul odor. So does a little folly to one respected for wisdom and honor. One sinner can destroy much good, just like dead flies in your perfume. You got your little perfume bottle there. You got your cologne in like a jar, and flies die in it. It's like, oh, you've kind of ruined my fragrance. These dead flies have. We would maybe say, a dead fly can ruin your soup. You're kind of eating soup, and there's a dead fly, and you're like, I think I'm full. I think I'm done. Or even to get out of the analogy of flies, nothing's worse than eating something and you get a hair. You're just like, I think I'm done. Yeah, I'm full now all of a sudden. I'm not hungry. It just ruins the whole thing. A dead fly can ruin the whole thing, perfume, soup, or hair in your whatever, your bread. Just like a sinner destroys much good, just like he goes on to say, so does a little folly, foolishness, to one respected for wisdom and honor. A little foolishness in your life can ruin a lot of things, just like a dead fly can ruin your perfume. Verse 2, a wise man's heart is at his right hand, but a fool's heart is at his left. The idea of the right hand is that of the good choice. The left hand is that of the wrong choice. So wisdom allows you to make the right choices, and foolishness causes you to make the wrong choices. Verse 3, even when a fool walks along the way, he lacks wisdom, and he shows everyone that he is a fool. A fool shows everyone, declares to everyone that he's foolish by the direction that he's going in. Verse 4, if the spirit of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your post, for consolation pacifies great offenses. There is an evil that I've seen under the sun, as an heir proceeding from the ruler. Folly is set in great dignity, while the rich sit in lowly places. I've seen servants on horses, while princes walk on the ground like servants. I've observed, again, how life doesn't work like I think it should, Solomon says. You would think that princes would be riding horses and servants would be walking. But he goes, I've witnessed with my own eyes before servants riding on horses when princes were walking on the ground. He sees this injustice in life of the way that he thinks life should go. You'd think that the higher class, that the prince would be rolling in on the horse, the servants would have to be marching. He's saying life goes backwards sometimes. Verse 8, he who digs a pit will fall into it, and whoever breaks through a wall will be bitten by a serpent. He who quarries stones may be hurt by them, and he who splits wood may be endangered by it. You're carving out stones, you could get hurt. You could get squished by a stone. You're splitting wood, he says, you could get endangered by it. The idea is you could get hurt at work, so you need to have wisdom at work as well. Verse 10, if the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength. But wisdom brings success. I have that one highlighted. Just today we finished up splitting some wood for a lady up on the bar. We took some of the kids from school, and Jordan was there, and Tim was there, and I was there, and we were splitting away, and I shared this verse. I said, in Ecclesiastes it says, if an axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength. That's just true. You got a dull axe and you're swinging it, You're putting in more effort than if you would just stop, sharpen the axe, and then use it, enhance it. Use wisdom to make the job easier instead of being stuck with a dull axe. Jordan's axe is too sharp, actually, and it's not fat enough because it's an axe and not a splitting maul. I have a splitting maul. So these kids, what are they? Is it 4th grade and up, probably?
Yeah.
Probably 4th to 8th grade.
8th,
Yeah, so Tim does this class once a week called Guys class, I think.
Man class.
Man class. So Tim leads man class for the 4th through 8th graders in our school. And they do like devotionals and do man things. So splitting wood's pretty manly. So we take them out there, and honestly, they need a lot of work in this department, some of these kids. The one kid said today, and I'm glad he's self-aware enough, he goes, I'd rather just stand around and talk. It's like, I can tell, Justice, get to work, come on. But, the kids want to practice chopping wood, so it's like, okay, so they use Jordan's axe, and they're kind of swinging it in, and it gets stuck in. They go, let me try yours, Hagen, and this thing weighs 1/4 of some of their weight, and they're like, oh, and they can't even swing it over, and it's like, yeah, but I'd rather have gravity on my side, so that's why I use a heavy splitting maul. But the point of that is sharpen your axes. Verse 11, a serpent may bite when it is not charmed, and the babbler is no different. A serpent can bite you, and so will a babbler. A babbler is just like a serpent, or someone who likes to run their mouth is just like a snake. So watch out for that. Verse 12, the words of a wise man's mouth are gracious, but the lips of a fool shall swallow him up. The words of his mouth begin with foolishness, and the end of his talk is raving madness. A fool also multiplies words. No man knows what is to be. Who can tell him what will be after him? The labor of fools wearies them, for they do not even know how to go to the city. Woe to you, O land, when your king is a child and your princes feast in the morning. He gives a warning to the land, to the nation, when their king is a child and their princes are feasting in the morning. The idea is the morning is when your day should be starting, you should be getting to work, and the princes are coming together and they're just relaxing. They're not actually doing the job. They're not actually working. Verse 17, blessed are you, O land, when your king is the son of nobles and your princes feast at the proper time for strength and not for drunkenness. Because of laziness, the building decays, and through idleness of hands, the house leaks. A feast is made for laughter, and wine makes merry, but money answers everything. This is Solomon observing life under the sun, and his conclusion is money is the answer. And this is the exact same thing that the world teaches today. Money will solve your problems. Money is the answer to anything. And if you have any sort of money, you know that that's actually not true. You don't even need a lot of money, because everyone in here has some sort of money, and guess what you still have more of? Problems. You'll always have more problems than you do money, so money is not the answer to everything. It's a good answer to getting out of debt. It's a good answer to making some good investments. It's a good answer to buying cool toys, but it is not the answer to everything. That's definitely for sure. Verse 20, do not curse the king even in your thoughts. Do not curse the rich even in your bedroom. For a bird of the air may carry your voice, and a bird in flight may tell the matter. Careful what you think in your heart. Careful what you say even in the privacy of your own bedroom, because a bird might be listening in, and it might fly away and tell the matter to someone else. We have an expression, a little bird told me. This is where that wordage, that expression comes from. Solomon gives a warning. You just want to be mindful of what you say, even in private, but not even what you say, even what comes into your heart, what you might even think about someone. Because, your thoughts and even the words you speak privately to people, they have a way of getting out. Birds have a way of carrying that off. And as I read that verse, the idea of do not curse the rich even in your bedroom, for a bird of the air may carry your voice, and a bird in flight may tell the matter. Careful what you say even in private, because a bird might hear and carry the message, or God hears and God can even share the message. And when I read that, I was reminded of a story that happened in 2 Kings chapter 6, although I didn't know it was in 2 Kings chapter 6 until I asked Jordan this morning, and he just knew right away where it was, because he just knows the Bible so well. After he Googled it, it helped. But he did know where to look more than I did. I said, isn't there a story in the Old Testament about a king talking about things in secret, and then like the prophet knows about it? And it's in 2 Kings chapter 6, starting in verse 8. It says, now the king of Syria was making war against Israel, and he consulted with his servants, saying, my camp will be in such and such a place. So this king says to his servant privately, here's where our camp's going to be. And the man of God sent to the king of Israel, saying, beware that you do not pass this place, for the Syrians are coming down there. Then the king of Israel sent someone to the place of which the man of God had told him. Thus he warned him, and he was watchful there, not just once or twice. Therefore, the heart of the king of Syria was greatly troubled by this thing. And he called his servants and said to them, will you not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, none, my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. So he said, go and see where he is, that I may send and get him. And it was told him, saying, surely he is in Dothan. Who's the spy here? The king of Syria goes, who's for the king of Israel? Because I made plans in secret with you guys privately here in my bedroom, and yet somehow Israel knows my next steps. So someone's a mole, someone's a rat, someone's, sharing intelligence with the enemy. Oh, it's not us. You see, Israel has a prophet. His name's Elisha. And God's telling him the very things you speak even in your bedroom. And I imagine the king of Syria is like, that's awkward, right? It's like God knows everything. So Solomon says back in Ecclesiastes 10, watch out what you say because a birdie might carry it off. We would say watch out what you say because God might share it with someone else. So just be careful what you say about people, even in private. Chapter 11, verse 1, cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. This is the idea of giving. Throw some bread out on the water. You think, I can't throw any bread on the water because I need to eat my bread. But you're generous. You throw bread on the water, I don't know, for the ducks or something. And he says, it'll be there. You'll find more after many days. Give a serving to 7 and also to 8, for you do not know that what evil will be on the earth. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if a tree falls in the south or to the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it shall lie. Well, that's obvious. Psalm goes, wherever a tree falls, there it lands. You go, that's interesting. The idea is, though, wherever a tree falls, there it lies, meaning it's not going to get back up again. Once it's fallen, it's done. It's not going to stand back up in its place. Wherever it falls, there it lies. It's not getting back up again. Just like when a cloud drops rain, that rain is not going to go reverse-wise back up into the clouds. I know about evaporation, but the idea is the cloud isn't going to suck that rain right back up into it, just like when a tree falls. It's a final thing that happens. Verse 4, he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. If you wake up in the morning, you go, it's windy, I guess I won't plant today. Or you look out, you go, it's cloudy, I guess I won't harvest today, I won't reap today. Then the idea is, if you're waiting for the perfect time to do it, you're never going to do it. I need to plant my garden, but it's kind of windy, so I'm going to put it off. Oh, I need to harvest, but it might rain, so I'm going to put it off. If you're looking for the perfect time, it's never going to happen. So don't get caught saying, well, the circumstance isn't quite right, or I just don't have enough money, or I just can't do this, or I just can't do that. This is my advice to people that want to get married. People will say, I want to get married, but maybe I'm too young, or I just don't have money. And it's like, you're never old enough to get married. You never have enough money to get married. Just do it. If you found someone you want to live the rest of your life with, and they think they agree the same thing, just go for it. Well, we just can't have kids. We don't have enough money. You never have enough money for a kid. Just do it. It's just how life works. You're waiting for the right time. You're never going to do it. So don't let that bother you. Don't let money hinder you from doing things. Verse 5. As you do not know what is in the way of the wind, or how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child. So you do not know the works of God who makes everything. You don't know how the wind blows. You don't know how bones of children can grow inside of their mother's womb. That's right, I actually don't know how any of that works. And Solomon's conclusion, if you can't even figure wind out or how bones of babies work, what makes you think you can figure out the works of God without God's revelation? We talked about this last week, I think the only way we know anything about God is because he's revealed it to us. If you're going to find things out about God outside of what he's revealed, you have better luck figuring out how the wind works and figuring out how bones of babies work. You can't handle this. How do you think you're going to handle the concept of God outside of what he's given to us through his word? Verse 6, in the morning sow your seed, and in the evening do not withhold your hand, for you do not know which will prosper, either this or that, or whether both alike will be good. Truly the light is sweet, and it is pleasant for the eyes to behold the sun. But if a man lives many years and rejoices in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they will be many. All that is coming is vanity. Verse 9, rejoice, O young man, in your youth, and let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart and in the sight of your eyes. But know that for all these, God will bring you into judgment. I like what he says in verse 9, actually, because he says, rejoice, O young man, in your youth. One of the most devastating things for me is to listen to young people wish they were older. It's like, you have no idea what you're saying. Enjoy however old you are, because it's going to go by like that. Oh, I just wish I was 16. It's like, no, you don't. Enjoy being 15. Enjoy being 13. Oh, I just wish I could be 18, and then no. Just enjoy it. The biggest lie of youth is life's better when you're a grown-up. It's not. Enjoy it. So he says, rejoice, O young man, in your youth. Enjoy it. Don't be wasting it away. Don't be wishing it away. Let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart. Enjoy it, he says, and in the sight of your eyes. But know that for all these, God will bring you into judgment. Enjoy your youth, but kind of not too much, because God is watching. Verse 10, therefore remove sorrow. Yes, therefore remove sorrow from your heart and put away evil from your flesh, for childhood and youth are vanity. Or childhood and youth are vanity, emptiness, or they don't last long. They don't stick, or just look around this room. Youthfulness doesn't last, right? It has a way of just vanity slipping away like a vapor. You got it for not that long, and then next thing you know, you're just old. And you're going to be old till you die. That's just how it works. You're not getting younger. So hold on to it. Enjoy youth. It's like vanity. Use it while you got it. Chapter 12, last chapter, verse 1. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before the difficult days come. Know, remember, have a relationship with, serve the Lord while you're young, Solomon says, because life is going to get difficult as you get older. So while you have freedom, while you're not worried about taxes, while you're not worried about paying the mortgage, while you're not worried about all the other things that adult people have to worry about, just remember your Creator. Just serve God while you're young, he says. And the years draw near when you say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are not darkened, and the clouds do not return after the rain, in the day when the keepers of the house tremble and the strong men bow down, when the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look through the window grow dim. The grinders is the idea of your teeth. He says, when the grinders or your teeth cease because they're few. You get old, he says, and your teeth, your grinders, they fall out. You get fake ones or whatever. They become few in your head. And not only that, he says, those that look through the window grow dim, or your eyes go bad. Your teeth go bad, your eyes go bad, and you just get old, he says. That's what you have to look forward to. When the doors are shut in the street and the sound of grinding is low, your hearing goes as well, he says. When one rises up at the sound of a bird and all the daughters of music are brought low, Also, they are afraid of height, also of terror in the way when the almond tree blossoms. The grasshopper is a burden and desire fails, for man goes to his eternal home, and the mourners go about the streets. You lose your teeth, you lose your eyesight, you lose your hearing, you get afraid of heights. Most old people are afraid of heights. It's just a thing that happens when you get old. You know, they're always afraid of falling, so they get up anywhere and they're like, they're afraid of grasshoppers once they get old. I don't understand it, but it's biblical. It says it. That's just a joke, kind of. But you just get afraid of things, and then you die, and then they bury you, and you go to your eternal home, and everyone else goes home in the streets. That's what you got in the next phase of life. Verse 6, remember your Creator before the silver cord is loosed, or the golden bowl is spoken, or the pitcher scattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the well. Then the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit will return to God who gave it. Your body, nothing but dust, for dust you are, to dust you will return, the Bible says. God formed Adam out of the dust. He was lifeless until he breathed spirit into him. Your spirit goes to be with God. Your body goes to dust. You get to pick how you want your body to be dusted. You can either put it in a box full of embalming fluid and let it get dusty for, centuries. I guess it actually takes quite a long time. And eventually you'll turn to dust, or you could just do it in about half an hour through cremation. But either way, you're going to become dust. So don't let the way you're going to become dust hold you up. You're going to become dust again, physically, the idea, and your spirit's going to be with God. So that's your future. Verse 8, vanity of vanity, says the preacher, all is vanity. He ends the book like he started it. It's emptiness. This is all there is to life. Not satisfied with money, not satisfied with work, not satisfied with women, not satisfied with even this wisdom that I have. I'm not satisfied. I ruined my youth. I didn't enjoy it. I got old. I lost my teeth. I lost my sight. I lost my hearing. I got afraid of grasshoppers, and I'm just going to die. He goes, it's all emptiness. It's all vanity. This is what life is about. It's like, thanks, Solomon. But then he gives this conclusion that really kind of ties it all together. Verse 9. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yes, he pondered and he sought out and he set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find acceptable words, and what was written was upright words of truth. The words of the wise are like goads, a sorting stick, I would say. And the words of the scholar are like a well-driven nail given by one shepherd. I like that. These words of wisdom, they're like a goad guiding you, like you'd kind of use it to correct a cow or an oxen back then to get it where you want to go. These words of wisdom from God, they guide us. And they're like a well-driven nail inside of a building or something made out of wood, holding it together. And then this almost, I think, is an allusion to Jesus, given by one shepherd. Given by the one shepherd, I would say the good shepherd, Jesus. Verse 12, and further, my son, be admonished by these, of making many books there is no end, and much study is weariness to the flesh. That's true. You study too much, it's just weariness. It's just not good. You can just exhaust yourself studying. Verse 13, this is the best verse in the whole book, in my opinion. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. I've talked to you about how life is vanity, it's emptiness, there's no point, but here's the real conclusion, Solomon says, verse 13. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. Let's sum it up, Solomon says. Here's the summary. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all, or this is the point of life. Fear God, have the right view of God, and do what God says. All this worldly stuff, all this life under the sun stuff, it's got nothing attached to it. It's not going to do it. It's not going to satisfy you. So the only thing we got is to fear God, to have the right view of God, and to do what God says. This is why you exist. This is why you live. This is the reason for life. Because God is the one who's going to bring every work into judgment, verse 14, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. Good news for us, our evil works, our sin, has already been judged by Jesus when he died for us on the cross. Solomon, it appears he comes back around. It appears in his old age as he's writing Ecclesiastes, as he realizes life is not doing it, he's reminded of the faith of his youth, how his father David raised him, and he goes, oh yeah, it's about the Lord. It's about doing what God wants. Life is about doing what God wants, not about doing what you want, Solomon concludes. You want to do what you want, he says, it's going to come up empty. It's going to be vanity. You do what God wants, that's what life is about. And I like this little bit of hope at the end of Ecclesiastes because it gives me hope that in Solomon's last days, his final years, however long, that he got back with the Lord. And he started walking with him again with this godly perspective. As we wrap up the book of Ecclesiastes, I want to look real quick at 2 Corinthians chapter 4, starting in verse 16, because Solomon does a whole lot of looking at the outwardness, at the worldliness, at the fleshliness, at the naturalness of life, and he's real discouraged throughout the whole book. Well, here's what Paul says about the outward things in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16. He says, therefore we do not lose heart, even though the outward man is perishing, yet the inward man is being renewed day by day. For our light affliction, that is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. While we do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen, things under the sun, outward things, they're temporary. But the things which are not seen are eternal. Chapter 5, verse 1 of 2 Corinthians, he says, for we know that if our earthly house, this tent, is destroyed, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. Solomon looked too much at the outward. It got him discouraged for the whole book, for this whole season. It's when you realize the outward, it is perishing. It is getting worse. It's not getting better. But the inward man, the spiritual part of you, the part that communes with Jesus, it's being renewed day by day. You look at the things that are seen under the sun, you'll find discouragement. You look at the things that are unseen, walk by faith and not by sight, you have encouragement, knowing, seeing, being in tune with what God is actually up to. So there's the book of Ecclesiastes. Next week is the worship night, and when I get back, we'll start the beloved book of Song of Solomon. Read ahead if you dare. It's a short book. We'll do it in just a couple weeks. Probably about a month we'll spend in the Song of Solomon, and then we're going to get into Isaiah, which I'm so excited about. Isaiah is such a good book. Song of Solomon will be fun. It'll be awkward. If you thought things in Proverbs were awkward, just wait. Song of Solomon will get real awkward real quick, but we're not afraid of being awkward around here, so that's good news. This Sunday, Pastor Ty's here to share with us, so I don't know where you're supposed to read ahead at, but I trust he'll bring a word from the Word. And I leave tomorrow at about 2 p.m. I'm going to head up in the direction of Spokane. I fly out of Spokane later on to get to LA to then fly to Georgia. So let's pray. But before we pray, let's sing.